This is Meaghan Smith, and you're at Popularity.
Perfect. How do you feel that you've changed musically throughout the creation of the album?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I've actually been working this record for a long time. I recorded it about 2 years ago, and I've really changed a lot in the last couple of years, as everybody does. But I think most of all, I've changed in terms of, just my music sensibilities. I think I'm a lot more open to different ideas, and just creatively as well. Like I'm just progressing creatively and kind of just maturing and just moving on to the next thing for me, which I think is a little bit more a combination of modern stuff and vintage stuff.
What exactly are you trying to open people's minds up to when they're listening to your music?
I think the combination of genres is something that I'm really into. Like, if you listen to the record, you'll hear a lot of stuff just kind of meshed together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my song "A Little Love" has a lot of strings combined with a DJ scratching and doing samples, and I mean, like, it's that sort of thing where I'm combining old and new. I'm combining digital and real instruments, and I'm using all sorts of things across the board. So I'm really into mixing stuff up, and I want people to just get energized about that and feel really feel excited about just being open to a bunch of different kinds of music and a bunch of different genres.
What would you say is the biggest challenge that you face right now?
Oh my gosh. Things have been working out pretty well for me, actually. The biggest challenge? I don't really know. I think maybe my biggest challenge is just getting my music out there, and there's a lot of music happening, and people have a lot to choose from and a lot to listen to, and I think there's a lot of great stuff going on, and I think people are kind of bombarded and overwhelmed, and I think that's kind of just cutting through what everybody else is doing and reaching the fans that I know are really going to love what I'm doing. So I don't know, things have been going really good, but I think it's just reaching the people that are really going to care about what I'm doing. And as far as things have been going, that's just about everybody that hears the record. I'm really lucky that I have such great people that like music.
Do you consider any track specifically on the album as the best song, or is that kind of something that's a little too hard for you to choose?
It's really hard for me to choose because each song has its own importance to me. But there are different songs I like for different reasons. Like the lead-off track called "Heartbroken." I really love that song because it's kind of a lot more experimental for me. I used a lot more samples, and it's pretty poppy, and I had a lot of fun doing it. So that one, I really love that one, and I love the song "I Know," which the whole thing is a Mellotron sample, but my dad also did a whistling solo in it. So I love that song for that reason, and I love my song "Poor." I got to record it with T-Bone Burnett, and it's a song that's really dear to my heart because I don't know, I've been poor before, and it's a song about just getting through the tough times and being thankful for what you have, and so there's I don't know, each song of mine has a different reason, and I value them all, but those are some that really stand out to me on the record. I don't know, everybody probably has their own too.
What about playing the songs live? Is there one in particular that you feel the best about playing live, or you feel that you get the best response from?
They're all pretty even. I love playing my song "If You Ask Me." On the record, it has a full-on horn section, and obviously I can't tour with a horn section, at least at this point in my career. But that's a really fun song to play because there's a lot of highs and lows vocally, and it's really energetic, and I really get into the story of it, and I feel like I'm all wrapped up in it, and that's a really fun one to perform. And also I have a song called Soft Touch. I don't know if you've heard it, but it has it's just guitar and accordion, and it's one of my favorite songs to perform. It's kind of like a quiet little story about how this one time I got stood up on a date and how heartbreaking that was. But in the end, I ended up later on meeting the man of my dreams, who I'm now married to. But so it's like a positive song, but it's like such a personal and intimate song. And I love stripping it down to just guitar and playing that song for people too. So there's kind of the extremes of really loud upbeat stuff and then the really quiet, personal stuff. And they're both really fun.
Can you talk a bit about some of the highs and lows that you went through while recording?
Yeah, I recorded the record. It was independently done, so I spent all my own money. I saved all my money for about 4 years to be able to pay for this record. I worked a day job, and then at nights I would, play music and write songs. And that was a struggle. I wanted to be a musician, but I couldn't leave my job. I had to pay the bills, and I was saving for this record. So that was a challenge. But I'm glad I did it because, I definitely learned the value of a recording studio and how much things cost, and I personally went through it. And then I hired this really great producer named Les Cooper, and we got to work together on most of the tracks on the record. And while we were recording, I'm from Halifax. I live in Halifax, Nova Scotia, but I recorded in Toronto. So I left my home, I left my husband, and stayed in Toronto for a couple months. And actually, I just slept on people's couches because I was spending all of my money on the record. So I kind of wasn't sleeping really great, and then I was recording for 16-hour days, and it was really, really intense. So that was also really struggling. It was really challenging for me. But once again, I feel like because I went through those challenges and struggles, and because I sacrificed so much, I feel like I made every minute in the studio count, and I was lucky enough to work with amazing musicians and this producer, and so I'm really, really proud of the record that ended up getting signed. It's the same record that got signed to Warner, and then there were just a couple of other tracks that I got to add on to the record. One of them is my song called Poor, and I don't know, do you know who T-Bone Burnett is? He's this really crazy famous producer. He's produced Johnny Cash. He's worked with insane people, and I got to do a song with him. He was just a fan of my music and wanted to do a song with me, so we ended up doing Poor. That's on the record, and then my song Heartbroken, I got to record with another guy named Greg Kirsten. Those were two really big highlights. Doing those two songs with these amazing producers, and also getting this record signed that I worked so hard on, getting it signed to a major label was really a high point. So there were challenges and there were payoffs, and it all worked out in the end.
With the level of success that you've achieved so far, are you happy with where you're at, or is it going to take something else before you're finally fully satisfied?
That's a good question too. I think that I'll always be happy wherever I am, and that's just the kind of person I am. But I am always going to be striving and pushing myself, because I also feel like I'm never going to kind of get to this point where I'm okay, well, this is as good as I get. I hope I'm always improving and getting better at writing and performing and playing an instrument. I'm always going to be working on that, but like I said, I'm always happy with where I'm at, even if it's not the best place, kind of a positive person.
Do you have anything that you'd like to say to the readers of Popularity?
I'd like to say, hello, thanks for checking out my record, and yeah, just if they haven't heard of it or heard of me, they can visit my website, and I'm also on Facebook and Twitter and MySpace, and I am doing a tour with Sean Raviazic, and I'd love to meet them.